Hey, this is Dan Tall with Dave Brown. Obviously, most people in the country have probably heard about what just happened to President Trump. Um, I'm here in Iowa, and we've been gone all day and just having a great day visiting with relatives and stuff. And we got a call from a relative back from Oregon and assassination attempt on President Trump. He was hurt, but it looks like what we're watching on the news right now that he is going to be okay. We've been talking about this for quite some time on Stand Tall with Dave Brown and Judy Brown. We're on day 6 of a road trip, and tomorrow we're going to be at the RNC, which is a Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We've been traveling across the United States for the last 6 days, and we are going to be there as a delegate. I one of 10 delegates from the state of Oregon on the floor that President Trump's supposed to be at on Thursday night. And I've never been a delegate. I've never been to the Republican National Convention before, so I don't understand all the details of it. But it's, we were looking at this thing as such a uniter, maybe for the Republican Party, but also for the United States of America. In the last 5 years, we've been attacked a lot just for our political stances, being on a school board and a school board chair in Newburgh, Oregon. And, I've seen the cancellations, the Facebook warriors, the haters, the death threats, things like that. And I look at, what happened to today, just a little while ago, is so sad that somebody would hate somebody enough to aim a gun at them and shoot at them, if they're not in war. And so we really are at war within the United States. We've been talking about this for quite some time, that there are people out there from the strong progressive left of the Democratic Party that will do anything to keep President Trump out of office. Since 2015, Hillary Clinton and everybody around her has came after him so hard, and he still won in 2016. And then in 2020, he was beaten by Joe Biden, and there's still a mountain of evidence out there about the voting. So was he beaten fair and square, or was he not? There seems to be a lot of stuff from Joe Biden's government, the weaponization of the DOJ to keep coming after President Trump. And why? Why would they do that? And I think when you look at, kind of what's going down right now, it's just so frustrating to know that we have people that, again, that want power that bad. The Joe Bidens and Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers of the world, the Hillary Clintons of the world, the Barack Obamas of the world, the Michelle Obamas of the world. These people have done nothing but hurt our country. And some of you won't like me saying this, but go back and just look at their records. Look what they promoted. Look what they've done. Look where we're at as a country today. My hope was that President Trump, and my hope is that President Trump will be the man to lead us to a secure border, a better economy, no wars that were under him that are here now in Ukraine and Israel. These wars weren't happening under President Trump. Our military was rebuilt under him and stronger than ever. So is he a perfect man? No, he never claims to be perfect. He can be brash. He can say things. He can get after people. But the reason I love Donald Trump as a person of my age and a person who's been through small town politics, our town's like 25,000, with the town next to it 30,000. So it's really small potatoes compared to what President Trump's had to deal with. But I have people that hate me now, and they've made threats and cut our cable at our house and scream at you and call you a racist, homophobic, mother effing, whatever. And so I've seen the hate at a local level. You see the hate all the time on a national level. And then I look back and I'm wondering, how can somebody again hate somebody so to the point where they would, take a shot at somebody? But what's going to be the real test of America right now is going to be all those haters. So let's see what you got, AOC. Let's see what you got, Nancy Pelosi. Let's see what you got, Joe Biden. How are you going to handle this situation? Are you going to condone something like this? Are you going to coach something like this? Or are you just going to totally denounce it? But how badly are you going to denounce it? I was a kid in the 60s. I don't remember the JFK assassination at all, but I definitely do remember Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy. And I remember those assassinations as a young kid. And, we were devastated by those times. And I think now we have to look at what happened tonight. We're talking, a whisker to the left, to the right, whichever angle they're going to prove that bullet came from. And President Trump could have been killed. He could have been maimed for life. He could have been hurt. Before you start talking about, I hate him, I don't like Donald Trump, what about the fact that he's a husband to Melania? The fact that he's a dad to all of his kids? The fact that he's a sibling? The fact that he has a big family and he loves them dearly? How about you go with the people that I've met that have personally been in his presence and tell me how generous and kind he is to everybody around him? That's Donald Trump, the man. That is something that we can't sit back. Why would you hate on that? Why would you want any harm to come to him? President Biden, my wife and I sat back and we felt sorry for the guy for the last 4 years. We've seen this the whole time. He's been incompetent, and yet somehow, some way, the people around him have kept pushing him, propping him up when he doesn't have the capabilities of being our president. And yet here he is, and he is our president. Now, however he got there, legit or not legit, and I'll tell you, he was not legit at all. But he is our president, and yet they're still propping him up, and there's people out there saying he should run. Now, why would they do that to an old man who's clearly far, far, far from being healthy enough to be the president of the United States? But they do. And how are these AOCs of the world and the Joe Bidens, how are they going to handle somebody trying to assassinate a political rival? Well, they're for sure rivals. There is no love lost between Joe Biden and President Trump. But are they going to handle this with class? Because that's where our country needs to get back to right now. We've got to get back to a society where we're caring about the American people. We're caring about our country. And JFK, a Democratic president. Now, arguably, he'd probably be a moderate Republican in today's world. But JFK had one of the most famous lines that's ever been said by any president, anywhere, anytime in our history of our country. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what can I do for our country? Man, if you just sit back and dwell on that for a minute, you have to sit back and think. Those are powerful words. Those are true words, though. JFK said some of the most wisest words I think any president's ever said to his country at the time in leadership role. And I think people heard it back then. And we've never been a perfect country, never will be a perfect country. This country was never designed to be a perfect country. It was a country that was formed and designed and fought for by our founding fathers to get away from the British English rule. And they put together a Declaration of Independence. They put together our Constitution to protect us and get our country free. Freedom was the key word. Now I know the first thing some of you guys are going to say, well, they had slaves. You know why the slavery thing continued after that? And I believe this is where Donald Trump would have stepped right into this one. But at the time, to get all the colonies together to form the basic United States of America to fight England, that was the compromise they had to make with the southern states. No blame shifted on anybody. It was just a different time in our world, a very different time. Slavery was not started, invented, or anything else in the United States of America. And is it unfortunate? Oh, my goodness sakes. It's a black stain on our country that we've worked really hard to get past. And again, not being a perfect country with perfect people, it's been up and down. 5 years ago, I would have said I thought we were doing better. And then in a country like after George Floyd passes away, the racial tensions, came back up through the roof through Black Lives Matter. The hatred. And the hatred for Donald Trump. The hatred that they say, I hate that man. I hate MAGA. I hate everything about what he stands for. You know what MAGA stands for? Make America Great Again. Pretty simple tagline. Make America Great Again. Donald Trump said that because after 8 years of Barack Obama, this country was not great again. And even some of the George Bush decisions and the Bill Clinton decisions, make America great again. Every president's going to come in with their things to say and things to do, but Donald Trump came in and said, "Make America great again." That's not a bad thing. If you want to ask who I am, I'll be MAGA. Make America great again. Wear the red hat. I absolutely will. Go to the RNC convention as a delegate from the state of Oregon, which is by way of blue state. I don't agree with that, but then it stands tall. We tell everybody. I even tell my friends and my family that are Democrats, good for you. Support what you believe in. I really believe if Democrats, normal Democrats, and normal Republicans would get together, we'd be a little closer to the middle than we are now, and we'd start agreeing on a few more things. But what happens the other day, in the sense, this is what Donald Trump had to deal with for 4 years as president of the United States, and he had to deal with a Congress that just the other day voted, in the things they're talking about, in election, nobody would not support what's being pushed through. And that's not what Donald Trump, whenever you look at any of the decisions he makes, it's always about putting America first, make America great again. He's about the flag. He's about the patriotism. He's about, what's best for the United States of America. And even though he's a rich man, he's been very generous and very giving. Again, all the people I've talked to that have been around him have said that over and over and over and over again, how generous of a man he is. And yet somehow people, use that word hate. I don't use that word, I hate Joe Biden. But a lot of people say I hate Donald Trump. I think all of us need to take a step back and go for a walk and say, I'm going to stop using the word hate. Hate comes straight out of the worst parts of the history of our world. And I always go back to pre-World War II with Nazi Germany. And the hatred that man came up with was at a level that we have never seen before. He got people to hate the Jews. Killed them 6 million times over. That's how much hate they had. And to have over 70 million people worldwide killed in that war. That's hate. That's why we cannot allow hate to continue. Tonight we're fortunate that Donald Trump wasn't hurt more. We're fortunate that Donald Trump wasn't killed tonight. We're fortunate that we don't have to go through that entire process like we did with JFK, like with Martin Luther King, like with Bobby Kennedy, going back to Abraham Lincoln. We don't have to go through that. But we are going through what happened to Ronald Reagan and being shot. Older man being shot. We have to deal with this as a country right now. And I say this could be a defining moment for all of us to step back and say, okay, I'm not going to use the word hate anymore, Dave. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit back and say I hate somebody. Certainly going to come out and say there's no way anything like this should ever happen. We should have a fair and square election. We should have two men, President Joe Biden and President Donald Trump. First time we've ever had this happen. To tee it up and come in November, we vote. And the winner will be the next president of the United States. Now, obviously, I'm going to RNC as a delegate from the state of Oregon. So you know where I stand. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. And I only get one vote. I don't get two, but I'm going to vote. So Judy. So there's 2 votes for Donald Trump. And I'm voting for Donald Trump because I think he's the best man to lead our country. And this was a hard thing to watch. I mean, we're having this just easy peasy day. We just picked up pizza here in Corden, Iowa. We're coming back. We've just been out, looking at little towns all over southern Iowa with our relatives. We're having a great day. And then, boom, we get the phone call. That's how quickly things can change. That's how fast our whole lives can change. So I'm asking all Americans right now to sit back and say, we can do better. I can do better. We have really got to turn the temperature down on this. My fear is we're not going to turn the temperature down. I think too many people are very, very, very emotional right now. I'm sitting there talking to you, and it's 6:21 Central Time. So that means it's 7:20 on the East Coast, and it's 4:20 on the West Coast. Wherever people are at, they're getting off work, they're eating dinner, and then boom, this kind of news hits. And this could be the thing that we can rally around in this country, to not necessarily say rally around, my candidate, Donald Trump, but to rally around getting back to being a country that has better morals than this. We'll see how everybody reacts. The proof's always in the pudding. After something horrible happens like this, how do people react? What do they say? Don't go out and get in the streets and pop off and start threatening people that don't agree with you. Don't do anything like that. Don't do protest. You know, I've heard about protests already happening in Milwaukee at the RNC tomorrow. You know what? I think you guys all, lay it down and just go home and pray that our country can heal, and pray that people will step up and vote. And maybe your candidate will win, or maybe he won't. But that doesn't give anybody the right to protest in a bad way. And I don't want to hear about peaceful protest. Come on, man. I live in Oregon, and I saw unpeaceful protests for over a year, well over a year. And the liberal mayor and the liberal governor would not support the police, and they just let her burn. And the district attorney wouldn't prosecute any of the people that were doing all the Antifa stuff. Wouldn't do it. And so what happened? Night after night, week after week, month after month. It was just like what it was. Portland went from being a beautiful town that my wife and I would go down and go to movies, go to plays, go out and eat dinner, go up on Northwest 21st Avenue, have a great evening, go up to Rose's, just have a fun evening. Not anymore. We don't ever go there. There's drugs like crazy. There's homelessness like crazy. They've cleaned it up quite a bit, but all you have to do is drive a couple blocks away and you're going to see homeless things. I was down there months ago and saw a guy OD right in front of us. I'm with two co-workers right in front of us, OD'd. Portland's turned into a mess, and it's because of poor leadership. And right now what we need is people to take an office in Portland, for example, and make better decisions. So what do we do sitting here right now? Are people going to get so fired up they're going to use violence? I'm praying that everybody that's a supporter of Donald Trump won't do that. Don't fall for the trap of what people like AOC and those people want you to do. They don't want you to do that. And that doesn't make you a wuss. That makes you a strong American. Don't buy into their trap. Don't buy into their lies. Don't buy into their crap that they throw out there they threaten your manhood. They threaten Donald Trump, and I think this will make him stronger. Stay strong, stay healthy, do the right thing, and I think President Trump gets elected in November. But this is a shocking wake-up call, how things can change so quickly. Tens and tens of millions of Americans are feeling like Donald Trump's the last hope for this country. They feel like he's the last hope we have, that somebody is strong enough to stand up to whatever's going on in Washington, D.C., that wants to see an open border, that wants to see our justice system weaponized, that wants to pack the Supreme Court, that wants our economy to fall flat on its face, that wants to see us support Palestine and Hamas and Hezbollah over the people of Jerusalem and the people of Israel. Who are these people making those kind of decisions? They should be ashamed of themselves, what they've done to our country. But I will leave you with this. Didn't everybody say during the Black Lives Matter, their mantra, what they had in writing, I've got it. I'll read it to you. We want to tear the system down. And what did they mean by that? They want to tear our current form of government down so they can rebuild it into what they want. A socialistic, Marxist type government that somehow they think is going to be the utopia for the United States of America. And in their utopia, they'd probably change that name. They'll rip up the Constitution, they'll pack the courts, and they will let illegal aliens in over the border so they can vote. They're not an American citizen. We hand them tons of money and pay for all their stuff. And why? Why would we do that? Why would we do that? Except for one reason. They want them to vote. They don't have to show anything or anything like that. They can just come in and vote. Doesn't that sound a lot like third world countries, and sound like Cuba and North Korea and the things that China and Russia do? Just backhanded, under the table, dirty stuff we hear about in deep South America and some African countries. Just horrible decisions made by the people in charge. Why would they do that? Why would anybody support our economy right now and the border the way it is, and not supporting the police officers and our laws across this country, why would they do that? Ask yourself that question. Why would anybody support what just happened to President Trump? Every person in this country should be on down on their hands and knees and praying for this country. Because I'll tell you what, I can't say this for sure, and I'm guessing, but I've talked to several people that know President Trump in person, have met with him many, many, many times, and I would think right now President Trump's pretty fired up. But you know what? I'll bet he has a 100 million people praying for him right now, and I bet that he would ask people to pray for this country, to pray that this country would come together and not be split apart. Don't fall for another January 6th bunch of BS that was staged and set up by people like Nancy Pelosi. And it was. That whole thing was just so bad. Now, were there people that did things, that would be Republicans that they shouldn't have done? Absolutely. And I would have said they should have gotten community service. They've been in jail for almost 2 years or longer, in jail with no court trial. That's just, again, that's stuff that happens in North Korea and Cuba and China. We have got to stop all that weaponization of the DOJ. We've got to get back to just letting Donald Trump on his own run a political campaign against Joe Biden on his own and leave the best man standing. Final thing I'll say is we don't have to love who's being our president, whether it's Joe Biden or whether they put somebody else in there, and I still think they will, or it's Donald Trump. And fortunately, I think he'll be able to keep going. I think he'll be stronger than ever. And the reason he'll be stronger than ever is because he loves this country. I got a tattoo of the American flag on my forearm. I love this country. I have 2 sons in the military. My dad was in the military. My brother was in the military. I love the United States of America. I love the fact that I've lived my entire life in the freedom that the United States of America affords me and my family. I love the fact that this country can do things for me that I wouldn't get any else in the world. I love the fact that the freedom I have has allowed me to coach sports for well over half my life. To impact thousands and thousands of young people through athletics. It's afforded my wife and I the chance to be in education when it was just a noble profession. It slipped, and I hope it gets back to that. But the United States of America has allowed us to be on a trip for 6 days across the United States. We have 24 more to go. Where else in the world? I mean, there's so many people don't have that freedom. We do. We have the freedom to go where and when we want. We've been in Oregon. We've been in Denver, Colorado. We've driven across Colorado, Kansas, and into Missouri. And now we're in Iowa. Tomorrow we'll be through Iowa and into Wisconsin. And with all that said, I just want you to know that the freedoms that we have in this country are because of people like Donald Trump. Donald Trump works his tail off to fight for this country. Donald Trump fights for this country because he believes in this country. It's afforded him a lot. It's made him a very wealthy man, and he knows that. He appreciates that. So David Brown and Judy Brown would stand tall. We're going to go to Milwaukee tomorrow. Am I nervous? Absolutely. Am I worried about the protests I've already heard are happening there? Absolutely, I'm worried. Am I going to go there as a proud American and fight for Donald Trump? You damn right I am. This is Stand Tall with Dave Brown. Bye.
Shooter is dead.
Huh?
The shooter is dead.